What if I told you that beneath your feet right now, there could be an entire lost civilization waiting to be discovered? Imagine caves sealed shut for over 100,000 years, containing mysteries that could rewrite human history. Today, we're diving into 10 of the most incredible ancient caves that remained hidden from the world for millennia. From underground Roman cities to prehistoric burial chambers, these discoveries will blow your mind. And number 3 on our list contains something so disturbing, scientists are still trying to understand what happened. Let's unlock these time capsules together. High up in the Himalayan cliffs of northern Nepal, carved directly into sheer rock faces over 150 feet above ground, lie the mysterious Mustang Caves. Also known as the Sky Caves, these ancient chambers have remained virtually untouched for centuries, not because they were sealed by nature, but because they're so impossibly difficult to reach. These aren't just random holes in the rock. Over 2,000 years ago, ancient people somehow managed to carve elaborate cave systems into these vertical cliff faces. But here's the mind-blowing part. Nobody knows how they actually got up there. The engineering feat alone defies explanation. When modern explorers finally rappelled down to investigate these caves in the early 2000s, what they found was absolutely extraordinary. Chamber after chamber filled with perfectly preserved mummified bodies, some bundled in ancient textiles, others with skulls stacked in neat arrangements. One cave contained over 40 skeletons lying side by side, like they were all placed there during a single tragic event. But it wasn't just bodies. These caves contained Buddhist murals over 800 years old that looked like they were painted yesterday, and ancient manuscripts written on palm leaves that crumbled at the slightest touch. The dry mountain air and extreme altitude created perfect preservation conditions, turning these caves into frozen museums of human history. Deep in France, the La Roche-Cotard cave remained buried under sediment for somewhere between 57,000 and 75,000 years. When archaeologists finally broke through, they made a discovery that completely changed how we think about our ancient cousins, the Neanderthals. Covering the cave walls were intricate scratch marks, not random scrapes but deliberate patterns etched into the stone. These engravings represent the oldest known Neanderthal cave art ever discovered, and they shattered a long-held scientific belief that Neanderthals weren't capable of artistic expression. For decades, researchers assumed that only modern humans created art. This cave proved them wrong. The patterns weren't paintings of animals or hunting scenes like we see in later human caves, but they were undeniably intentional artistic expressions. Alongside these engravings, archaeologists found stone tools and butchered animal bones, showing that Neanderthals had spent considerable time in this natural art studio. The cave's perfect seal preserved everything exactly as it was left tens of thousands of years ago, giving us an intimate glimpse into the minds of our extinct relatives and proving they were far more sophisticated than we ever imagined. The Qesem cave in Israel holds perhaps the most haunting discovery on our list. This cave remained completely sealed for an incomprehensible 100,000 years, and when archaeologists finally gained access, they found something that still gives researchers chills. 5 human skeletons, carefully arranged in fetal positions, lay exactly where they had been placed 100 millennia ago. These weren't random burials. Each skeleton was deliberately positioned and covered with red ochre, a mineral powder that ancient peoples used in sacred rituals to honor the dead. Stone tools lay scattered around the bodies, and the red ochre staining suggested elaborate burial ceremonies. What's most disturbing is that these remains might belong to an entirely extinct species of early humans, people who lived and died long before modern humans dominated the earth. The cave's perfect seal, created by ash and rock, protected everything from the elements for 100,000 years. It's essentially a prehistoric tomb that gives us our clearest look at how our most ancient ancestors treated death and the afterlife. The careful positioning of the bodies and ritual items suggests these early humans already understood concepts of ceremony and respect for the dead. Directly under one of Rome's busiest tourist areas lies a completely forgotten underground city that Mussolini tried to erase from history. The Grotta del Cappuccino is a vast network of tunnels, chambers, shops, and taverns that was sealed off in the 1920s and deliberately hidden from the public. This wasn't just a basement, it was an entire functioning underground community. When archaeologists finally gained access after a century of abandonment, they discovered Roman-era plumbing systems still intact, ancient wine cellars, and even a 2,000-year-old bakery with bread ovens that looked ready to use. Mussolini's government sealed off this underground world during their urban renovation projects, probably hoping people would forget it existed, and for the most part, they did. For over 100 years, this incredible piece of Roman history sat abandoned and gathering dust just meters below tourists' feet. The preservation is remarkable because the sealed environment protected everything from modern contamination. Archaeologists are now carefully restoring the site, and it's scheduled to open to the public around 2026. It's like discovering Rome's version of an underground fallout shelter that accidentally became a time machine. Northern Spain's La Garme Cave was sealed by a rockfall 17,000 years ago, creating one of the most perfectly preserved Ice Age sites ever discovered. When archaeologists finally broke through in 1995, they found something that made them feel like time travelers. Human footprints still pressed into the cave floor as if someone had just walked through and left. The cave walls were covered in paintings, animals, abstract shapes, and handprints that told the story of the people who once called this place home. Scattered across the floor were stone tools, bone needles, pendants, and butchered animal bones that painted a picture of daily life during the last Ice Age. In one corner, archaeologists found what appeared to be a bed made from branches and animal skins. Another section contained bones arranged in deliberate patterns, possibly for rituals or offerings. Even torches abandoned by the cave's last inhabitants remained exactly where they were dropped 17,000 years ago. The site is so perfectly preserved that it's still not open to the public. Researchers don't want to risk disturbing the delicate conditions that kept everything intact for so long. Gibraltar's Vanguard Cave remained sealed by sand and debris for 40,000 years, preserving a Neanderthal living space in pristine condition. When researchers excavated the buried chamber, they found fossilized bones from lynxes, hyenas, and seals, along with stone tools that told the story of our extinct cousins' daily lives. The cave appears to have been used for both shelter and food storage. Evidence of hearths shows where Neanderthals lit fires, with layers of ash and charred bones building up over time. The sand seal was so complete that it created vacuum-like conditions, preserving everything in remarkable detail. This discovery is helping scientists understand how Neanderthals actually lived, rather than just how they died. The preserved living space gives us insights into their survival strategies, social structures, and daily routines that no other site has provided. Our final cave completely changed what we know about early human migration. The Gar Dalam Cave in Malta had collapsed naturally and remained sealed for 8,500 years. Until this discovery, researchers believed the first people arrived in Malta around 7,000 years ago. This cave pushed that timeline back by a full millennium. Inside, archaeologists found animal bones, fire pits, stone tools, and partial human skull remains that proved hunter-gatherers were living on the island long before farming communities arrived. The tools were simple flint flakes and blades, but they were effective enough to process meat and hides. Burn marks on bones showed these early inhabitants were cooking inside the cave, living off wild animals and plants thousands of years before anyone thought possible. When the cave entrance eventually collapsed, it sealed this evidence of Malta's true first inhabitants, preserving proof that human migration patterns were far more complex than we realized. These sealed caves are basically time machines, preserving moments from thousands of years ago in perfect detail. Every time archaeologists break through these ancient seals, they discover something that completely changes what we thought we knew about human history. If you're fascinated by these incredible discoveries, smash that like button and subscribe for more mind-blowing mysteries from our past. Who knows what secrets are still waiting to be uncovered?